The silent defiance. The message arrived on a Tuesday. No warning, no diplomatic overtures, just a blunt communication that cut through every transmission on Earth, appearing on screens worldwide in perfect translation. The voice was cold, metallic, and utterly alien. People of Earth, this is High Commander Vrex of the Galactic Ascendancy. Your existence has become problematic. Your technology advances too quickly. Your biological makeup is too aggressive. Your expansion threatens established order. You have 7 Earth rotations to formally surrender your planet, dismantle your military capabilities, and prepare for integration. Resistance will result in immediate extinction. This is not negotiable. In the strategic command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Alina Reyes watched the message loop for the 5th time, her face betraying nothing while her fingernails dug crescents into her palms. Around the polished obsidian table, 12 grim-faced world leaders and military commanders sat in stunned silence. President Kamari of the African Union was the first to speak. What do we know about this ascendancy? General Zhang pulled up holographic data with a flick of his wrist. Not much. They appeared at the edge of our system 3 days ago. One massive ship, approximately 27 kilometers in length. It hasn't moved closer than Saturn's orbit. Our deep space telescopes show technological capabilities far beyond our conventional fleet. Conventional fleet being the operative phrase, Alina said quietly. President Richards of the North American Alliance shot her a warning glance, but President Kamari caught the implication immediately. Admiral Reyes, this would be the time to share anything relevant to humanity's survival. Alina straightened her shoulders, feeling the weight of her decision. Operation Phantom Shield was classified beyond top secret. Only 12 people in this room knew of its existence until now. She activated her secure tablet, and the center of the table erupted in holographic displays showing ships, hundreds of them, unlike anything publicly known to exist in Earth's arsenal. For the past 15 years, we've been building a fleet in secret. Not just ships, but an entirely new class of military technology. After the Proxima incident, we realized we weren't alone, and we might not be welcomed. The room erupted in overlapping voices. Impossible. How could this be hidden from the Security Council? The resources required would be. President Richards slammed his hand on the table. It was a unanimous decision by the Continuity Council. The risk of public panic or technological leaks was too great. The fleet is dispersed across hidden bases in the asteroid belt, beneath the lunar surface, and in Earth's oceanic trenches, Alina continued. Ships built with integrated AI systems, autonomous repair capabilities, and weaponry based on principles discovered in the Proxima wreckage. The Japanese Prime Minister leaned forward. You're suggesting we fight this ascendancy with untested technology against an enemy that can cross interstellar space. I'm suggesting, Alina said carefully, that surrender may not be our only option. The debate raged for hours. Some argued for immediate compliance. Buy time, learn more about the ascendancy, find diplomatic solutions. Others insisted surrender meant extinction regardless, that the ascendancy would never permit humanity to continue developing as a potential threat. Throughout it all, Alina remained quiet, her mind elsewhere. Specifically, 10 years in the past when the research vessel Proxima Explorer disappeared near Alpha Centauri with 218 crew members aboard, including her husband, Captain Marcus Reyes. When the official statement declared the loss due to drive system failure, Alina had accepted it publicly. Privately, she'd seen the classified footage recovered from the ship's emergency beacon, the massive vessel that appeared without warning, the energy weapon that cut through the Explorer's hull like paper, and the final transmission from Marcus. They're boarding. This wasn't an accident. They were waiting for us. Alina's voice cut through the debate. They've been watching us. The Proxima Explorer wasn't lost to a malfunction. It was an assessment mission. Theirs, not ours. The room fell silent as she played the classified footage. When it ended, she continued, "This ascendancy has known about us for at least a decade. They've been monitoring our development, waiting until we reached a specific technological threshold. That's why Operation Phantom Shield was created. President Khmer's eyes narrowed. You've been preparing for this specific confrontation. Yes, based on a theory from a single encounter. A theory that was just validated by a massive alien warship demanding our surrender, Elena countered. The Russian premier crossed his arms. What exactly does your secret fleet offer that could possibly counter a civilization capable of interstellar travel? Elena's lips tightened into a thin line. 3 technological advantages. First, quantum entangled communications immune to interception or jamming. Second, gravitational distortion drives that allow our ships to appear and disappear from conventional detection. And third, she paused. Directed energy weapons powered by miniaturized fusion reactors that can penetrate any known shielding technology. Known being the operative word, Zhang muttered. There's more. Elena's voice dropped. Our intelligence division has intercepted and partially decoded communications between the Ascendancy vessel and other points in space. They're not here to integrate us. The translation algorithm suggests they're here to harvest. Harvest what? President Richards asked. Us, specifically, human nervous tissue. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees as Elena continued. The Ascendancy isn't a single species. It's a collective of dominant species that view less advanced civilizations as resources. Earth isn't being offered membership. We're being inventoried. The Indian Prime Minister's face hardened. Then we fight. No, Elena said. We appear to surrender. Confusion rippled through the room as Elena outlined her strategy. Earth would formally accept the Ascendancy's terms while secretly deploying the Phantom Shield fleet. They would position their forces while the Ascendancy believed humanity was complying, then strike simultaneously when the enemy least expected resistance. A sneak attack. President Richards frowned. That violates every principle of engagement. This isn't a war, Mr. President. It's survival. Elena's eyes were steel, and they fired the first shot 10 years ago. Over the next 5 days, humanity presented a masterful performance of a civilization preparing to capitulate. Public announcements declared acceptance of the Ascendancy's terms. Military bases began visible decommissioning procedures. World leaders made solemn addresses about cooperation and peaceful integration. Meanwhile, beneath the lunar surface, within the cloud layers of Jupiter, and in the shadowed craters of Mars, humanity's secret fleet powered up. 342 vessels, each commanded by officers who had trained for years in absolute secrecy for this moment, began moving into predetermined positions. Admiral Rice stood on the bridge of the EDF Nemesis, the largest vessel in Earth's clandestine armada at just over 2 kilometers long. Unlike the bulky, utilitarian designs of public space vessels, the Nemesis was sleek, almost predatory in appearance, with hull plating that absorbed rather than reflected light. All ships reporting ready. Admiral, announced Commander Takeda, her executive officer. Gravitational distortion drives engaged and functioning at optimal levels. Elena nodded, studying the tactical display showing the massive Ascendancy vessel holding position near Saturn. And our allies. The Eridani ships confirm they're in position beyond Neptune. They'll join once we initiate. That had been Elena's other secret, the discovery that humanity wasn't the first to face the Ascendancy's integration. The survivors of previous harvested worlds had formed a resistance, too few to challenge the Ascendancy directly but enough to assist a civilization willing to fight back. Communications from Earth, Admiral, the comms officer reported. Final authorization received. Elena took a deep breath, thinking of Marcus, of the Proxima Explorer, of all that humanity stood to lose. Signaled the fleet. Operation Phantom Shield is now active. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden armada disengaged their gravitational distortion fields, becoming visible for the first time as they converged on the unsuspecting Ascendancy vessel. On their hulls, a simple insignia, Earth's continents overlaid with a shield. As the Nemesis accelerated toward the enemy, Alina whispered words meant for ears long gone. "We didn't surrender, Marcus. We were just getting ready." Ghosts of the Void. On the command deck of the Ascendancy vessel Indomitable, High Commander Vrex studied the magnified image of Earth with compound eyes that had witnessed the fall of 17 civilizations. His exoskeletal frame shifted slightly as his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Azix, entered. "The humans have begun dismantling their defensive systems," Azix reported, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. "Their leaders have scheduled the formal surrender ceremony for tomorrow." "Curious," Vrex said, his translator converting the series of clicks and whistles into standardized Ascendancy speech. "They offered less resistance than anticipated. The probability model suggested a 78% likelihood of futile military engagement. Their psychological assessment indicates a survival-focused species," Azix reminded him. "Unlike the Taurians who chose extinction over submission." "Yes." Vrex's appendage tapped a control surface, bringing up biological schematics of human nervous systems. "Prepare the harvesting chambers. Their neural tissue will make an excellent addition to the collective mind." An alert suddenly pulsed across the command console, a proximity warning. Vrex's head tilted in confusion as the ship's sensors detected hundreds of objects appearing seemingly from nowhere. "Impossible," Azix whispered. "Where did they?" The first barrage hit before he could finish. The Indomitable shuddered violently as concentrated energy beams struck its forward shields. Warning signals blared throughout the massive vessel. "Full defensive protocols," Vrex ordered, his composure fracturing. "Launch interceptors." On the main display, the void of space had come alive with ships, human ships, emerging from gravitational distortions that had rendered them invisible to Ascendancy sensors. They were arranged in attack formations that shouldn't have been possible for a species that had only achieved rudimentary space travel. "Their technology," Azix began, "has been grossly misrepresented." Vrex finished, rage building in his voice. "The Overwatchers will answer for this intelligence failure." Aboard the Nemesis, Admiral Rice watched the battle unfold with intense focus. The initial surprise had worked perfectly. The Phantom Shield fleet had scored direct hits on the Ascendancy vessel before it could raise its defensive systems to full power. "First wave report," Commander Takeda called out. "Shield impact successful. Their defensive capacity reduced by 22%. "Not enough," Alina muttered. "Execute Maneuver Hydra." The Earth fleet split into 5 coordinated attack groups, each targeting different sections of the massive alien ship. The Nemesis led Alpha Group against the vessel's propulsion systems, while Beta through Epsilon groups focused on weapons arrays, sensor nodes, and what intelligence suggested were vital command structures. The Ascendancy vessel was responding now, launching swarms of smaller craft that resembled metallic insects, each approximately the size of an Earth fighter jet, but moving with impossible precision. "Interceptors incoming," Takeda warned. "Thousands of them." Alina nodded calmly. "Deploy the Ravens." Throughout the Earth fleet, launch bays opened to release smaller, darker vessels, attack craft piloted by integrated AI systems with human operators. Unlike traditional fighters, these Ravens could withstand forces that would kill human pilots, executing maneuvers that defied conventional combat tactics. The space between the fleets erupted in chaotic battle as Ravens and Ascendancy interceptors clashed in a lethal dance. Explosions peppered the void, brief, silent bursts of light against the darkness. "Eridani allies report they're engaging," the comms officer announced. 17 vessels approaching from the outer system. On the tactical display, Alina could see the distinctive energy signatures of their alien allies joining the battle. The Eridani, survivors of an Ascendancy harvest 3 centuries earlier, had provided crucial intelligence about Ascendancy technology, weaknesses that weren't apparent without intimate knowledge of their systems. "Admiral," Takeda's voice was urgent. "The Ascendancy vessel is powering up its main weapon array." Alina's expression didn't change. "Right on schedule. Signal the Artemis group." Deep within the rings of Saturn, 5 specialized Earth vessels that had remained hidden activated their drives, racing toward the battle. These were the fleet's secret weapons, ships built around massive electromagnetic pulse generators designed to the Eridani specifications. Artemis Group reports ready, Admiral. Execute Operation Blackout. On the Indomitable, Vrex was regaining confidence as the ship's main harvester cannon charged. This weapon had ended resistance on countless worlds, capable of projecting an energy field that could simultaneously disable technology and paralyze organic nervous systems across an entire continent. Target their homeworld, he ordered. One demonstration will end this rebellion. High Commander, an operator called out, detecting unusual energy signatures approaching from the planet's ringed satellite. Before Vrex could respond, 5 human vessels took position around the Indomitable, forming a perfect pentagon. Each simultaneously activated devices that sent cascading waves of disruption through the Ascendancy ship's systems. The command deck plunged into darkness, emergency lighting flickering weakly as systems failed across the vessel. The harvester cannon's charge dissipated harmlessly into space. Impossible, Vrex hissed. They couldn't have known. Sir, Azix interrupted, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. We're being hailed by an Eridani ship. Elena watched with grim satisfaction as the Artemis Group's EMP weapons temporarily crippled the Ascendancy vessel. It wouldn't last long. The alien ship systems would begin recovery within minutes, but it provided the opening they needed. All attack groups, concentrate fire on the designated weak points, she ordered. Boarding teams, prepare for deployment. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. While the Earth fleet kept the Ascendancy forces occupied, specialized teams would board the massive vessel to plant fusion charges at critical structural points identified by Eridani intelligence. Admiral, the comms officer called out, incoming transmission from the Eridani flagship. The holographic display activated to show Captain Thela, the angular, silver-skinned commander of the Eridani resistance. Her 4 eyes blinked in their characteristic rhythm. Admiral Rice, the Ascendancy vessel is attempting to activate its emergency jump drive. If it escapes, it will return with the full harvester fleet. Elena's blood ran cold. The plan had accounted for this possibility, but not so soon. How long? Their systems are already routing emergency power, minutes at most. Elena made her decision instantly. Change of plans. Recall the boarding teams. She turned to Takeda. Prepare the Nemesis for direct impact. Takeda's eyes widened. Admiral, the Nemesis is equipped with the prototype gravitational implosion device, Elena said firmly. If detonated inside their jump field, it will create a temporary singularity. Nothing survives that. It's untested technology, Takeda protested. And a suicide mission. I'm aware. Elena's voice was steel. Begin evacuation protocols for non-essential personnel. I'll pilot the final approach myself. That's not necessary, Takeda began, but Elena cut her off. This isn't negotiable, Commander. I've been prepared for this since they took the Proxima Explorer. Since they took Marcus. Her expression softened briefly. Earth needs leaders who understand the threat we're facing. That's you now. Before further objections could be raised, a new voice cut through the command deck. Admiral Rice, this is Captain John Wong of the EDF Hermes. We're in position beneath the Ascendancy vessel with the prototype ready for remote deployment. No need for a suicide run today. Elena stared at the tactical display where, impossibly, the Hermes had managed to maneuver directly beneath the massive alien ship, hidden in its sensor shadow. Captain Wong, that's a remarkable feat of flying, she said, relief creeping into her voice despite her best efforts. Thank you, Admiral. The gravitational device is armed and ready for your command. Elena took a deep breath. All Earth vessels, execute withdrawal pattern Delta. Eridani allies, we suggest immediate retreat to safe distance. She paused, then added, Captain Wong, you have exactly 3 minutes to deploy and clear the blast radius. Understood, Admiral. Herm's beginning deployment now. The battle above Saturn reached its crescendo as Earth and Eridani vessels disengage, pulling back in coordinated retreat while continuing to fire, keeping the recovering Ascendancy forces occupied. The Hermes, a sleek vessel designed for speed and stealth, released its payload, a small, unassuming device that attached itself to the Indomitable's hull before the smaller ship accelerated away at maximum thrust. On the command deck of the crippled Ascendancy vessel, systems were finally coming back online. Vrex watched with mounting horror as his tactical display showed the enemy fleets retreating. "They're running," Azix said hopefully. "No." Vrex's voice was hollow. "They're escaping." He had seen this pattern before, when the Ascendancy itself employed similar tactics. "Scan our hull." Now. The scan revealed the truth too late. The small device pulsing with energy, counting down to activation. Vrex lunged for the emergency jump controls, but the gravitational implosion device activated first. There was no explosion, no fire, just a perfect sphere of distorted space that expanded outward from the device, enveloping the massive Ascendancy vessel. For a brief moment, the Indomitable seemed to stretch impossibly, its structure elongating toward the center of the distortion. Then, with a silent flash of light, the fabric of space snapped back into place. Where the 27-kilometer Ascendancy ship had been, nothing remained but scattered particles and fading radiation. 3 days later, Admiral Reyes stood before the United Earth Council, now expanded to include representatives from the Eridani Alliance. The chamber was somber despite their victory. "The immediate threat has been eliminated," she reported, "but the Ascendancy will eventually discover the fate of the Indomitable. When they do, they'll send more ships." "How much time do we have?" President Kameri asked. "According to our Eridani allies, perhaps 2 years. Maybe less." The room absorbed this in silence before the Eridani ambassador spoke, her translator converting her harmonic language to human speech. "What you have accomplished is unprecedented. For 3,000 years, the Ascendancy has harvested worlds with impunity. You are the first to successfully defeat one of their harvester ships." "We had help," Elena acknowledged. "And we had motivation. The question now," President Richards said, "is what happens next." Elena turned to the massive view screen showing Earth's combined fleet, the public vessels now integrated with the Phantom shield ships, in formation around the Eridani vessels. Together, they represented something the galaxy hadn't seen in millennia: hope against the Ascendancy. "Now," Elena said firmly, "we build more ships. We share technology with our allies. We prepare." Her eyes hardened. "And when the Ascendancy returns expecting to find a subjugated world ready for harvest, they'll instead find humanity waiting, not just to defend ourselves, but to end their reign of terror across the galaxy." The Eridani ambassador's silver skin rippled in what Elena had learned was their expression of respect. "For centuries, we have hidden, surviving on the fringes. Now do you suggest we stand and fight?" "I suggest we do what humanity has always done when faced with extinction," Elena replied. "We adapt, we unite, and we refuse to surrender." As the council erupted in discussion, plans for expansion, for building, for preparing, Elena's thoughts drifted briefly to Marcus and the crew of the Proxima Explorer. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. It had prepared humanity for its greatest challenge. In the vastness of space, the combined fleet stood vigilant, Earth's ships alongside their new allies, a beacon of resistance in a galaxy that had known only submission. The message they sent to the stars was clear: humanity would not surrender, not now, not ever. And the Ascendancy would learn what so many would-be conquerors throughout human history had discovered too late: that humanity, when pushed to the brink, didn't just fight back. It unleashed everything.